If two people are truly meant to find each other, one pattern almost always appears first. It does not matter how different their worlds are, how strange the timing feels, or how unexpected the meeting seems. The same thing shows up again and again. Most people think destiny looks gentle at the start. They imagine instant peace, instant comfort, instant certainty. They picture two people meeting, smiling, and somehow knowing right away that everything has finally fallen into place. But real destiny rarely enters like that. Real destiny arrives quietly, then turns everything upside down. It does not bring peace first. It brings change. It brings pressure. It brings questions you were not ready to ask. When two people truly matter to each other in a deep way, life does not rush them together. Very often it does the opposite. It creates distance. It slows things down. It pulls them apart. It challenges what they believe about love, about timing, and even about themselves. It tears through illusions they did not even know they were living inside. That is not cruelty. That is preparation. Stay with me, because this is where most people misunderstand the whole story. Before two people can truly come together in a meaningful way, something in them usually has to change first. That is the pattern. That is the hidden setup. Many people expect destined love to feel easy from the beginning, but deep connection often enters your life by disturbing your old life first. It breaks false comfort. It shakes weak foundations. It exposes what is unfinished. So if you have ever felt a connection that made no sense, and still refused to leave your heart, keep listening, because what happens next may explain more than you expected. People often confuse comfort with truth. They think if something is real, it should feel safe right away, soft right away, easy right away. But that is not how deep connection usually begins. It begins with recognition, not peace. Recognition. You meet someone, and something inside you reacts before your mind can explain why. You may not feel calm. You may not even feel certain. In fact, you may feel unsettled, seen, exposed, like they somehow notice parts of you that you usually keep hidden, even from yourself. That can be confusing, because most people are taught to expect love to feel soothing from the start. Yet the strongest connections often feel intense before they feel stable. That discomfort does not always mean the person is wrong for you. Sometimes it means the opposite. Sometimes it means they are reflecting back the exact parts of you that you have been avoiding. Your fears, your wounds, your habits, your unfinished emotional work. They do not just see the version of you that smiles for the world. They touch deeper layers. And that can feel threatening. That is why meaningful connections often bring awareness before they bring closeness. They wake something up. They show you where you are not free yet. They show you where pain still lives under your confidence. They show you what still needs healing. And this is why many people who matter deeply to each other do not stay together at the beginning. Life separates them early, not because the connection is false, but because it is powerful. Too powerful to be carried well by two people who are still unprepared. If you have ever felt something like this, you already know it does not feel casual. It feels important. It feels unfinished. And sometimes that feeling is not there to trap you. Sometimes it is there to transform you. When people who are meant to shape each other meet too early, distance often becomes part of the story. This separation is not random. It usually happens for clear reasons, even if those reasons are painful. One person may still be carrying old hurt. One may fear real closeness. One may not know their own value yet. One may still love from fear instead of wholeness. Sometimes both people are still unfinished, and unfinished people, even with good hearts, can wound each other deeply. So life steps in and says, not yet. It creates space. It creates delay. It creates silence that feels unbearable at first. But that silence is often doing hidden work, because if those two people came together too soon, they might destroy something that could have become meaningful later. What feels like rejection may actually be protection. What feels like loss may actually be timing. The distance hurts because something real was touched. But pain does not always mean the path is wrong. Sometimes pain is the classroom. Sometimes pain is the beginning of truth. And when a connection like this breaks open, the heartbreak feels different from ordinary heartbreak. It is not only sadness, it is confusion. It is a strange feeling of being pulled inward. You do not just miss the person. You feel like something inside you has been activated, and you cannot shut it off again. That happens because this kind of bond is not only tied to desire or ego, it is tied to growth. It wakes up questions you were avoiding. It pushes you toward parts of yourself you kept delaying. Keep watching, because this is where the story changes. The loss is not just about losing them. The loss is also about losing the version of you that could no longer stay asleep after meeting them. After the separation, something unusual often begins. You start noticing yourself more clearly, not all at once, quietly. You see your fear of being left. You see how much validation you have been seeking from other people. You notice the way you overgive, just to keep someone close. You notice how often you ignore your own needs, and call it love. These truths are not comfortable, but they matter. The pain is not there to crush you. It is there to wake you up. A deep connection has a strange way of changing you, even when there is no contact, no message, no clear ending, no promise of return. Logic may tell you to move on, but something deeper keeps rearranging you from the inside. You become more aware, more honest, more careful with your heart. You start setting better boundaries. Things you once accepted no longer feel right. Situations you used to tolerate now feel heavy. People you once chased no longer hold the same power. You begin to want depth instead of shallow attention, truth instead of mixed signals, real effort instead of temporary comfort. Often you do not even realize that this shift began the moment that person entered your life. They were not just a person, they were a trigger. They started a process inside you. And this kind of connection does not exist to create endless obsession. It exists to create reflection. Yes, you may think about them, but even more, you start thinking about yourself, your patterns, your standards, your choices. You ask deeper questions. Why do I love the way I do? Why do I fear closeness and still crave it? Why do I settle? Why do I keep reaching for what cannot fully hold me? Those questions do not leave you the same. They slowly change your life. And that is why some connections stay alive in your memory, long after the contact ends. Not because they were perfect, but because they changed your direction. Over time, the effect of that connection starts showing up in your daily life. You become less willing to repeat old cycles. You stop chasing people who cannot meet you with honesty. You stop calling confusion passion. You stop ignoring red flags just because you want to feel chosen. Little by little your standards rise, not only for others, but for yourself. You begin to care more about peace, consistency, honesty, and mutual effort. That growth can feel so natural that you almost miss how much has changed. But if you look closely, you will see it. The connection left an imprint. It changed how you see love. It changed how you see your own value. It taught you that being together is not the only measure of a meaningful bond. Sometimes the meaning is in what it awakens. Sometimes the lesson is not union. Sometimes the lesson is wholeness. And that is one of the hardest truths to accept. Because many people want a clear ending, a clear answer, a clear promise that if the feeling was real, the person must return. But life does not always work that way. Some people come into your life to stay. Some come to redirect you. Some come to wake up the parts of you that had gone numb. That does not make the connection fake. It makes it important. There are bonds that do not stay in form, yet never lose their meaning. They continue living inside your growth. They show up when you choose differently. They show up when you walk away from less. They show up when you speak more honestly, love more cleanly, and carry yourself with more self-respect. So if you are listening to this and thinking of one person in particular, wait until the end, because the next part may be exactly what your heart has been trying to understand. Not every lasting impact comes from lasting presence. Sometimes the deepest mark is left by the person who pushed you back toward yourself. That is also why these connections can be hard to replace. People try, they meet someone new, they start fresh conversations, they build new routines, they tell themselves moving on means forgetting, and for a while, life may even look normal again. They laugh, they work, they travel, they stay busy, they seem fine from the outside, but underneath it all, something still feels unfinished. Not because the new person is bad, not because the new bond has no value, but because it does not touch the same depth. A connection that changes your inner life does not compete with ordinary attraction. It stands in a different place. It is not just chemistry. It is not just comfort. It is not just attention. It is evolution. It forces honesty. It breaks denial. It pushes you to face parts of yourself you may have avoided for years. And while the two people are apart, life often teaches them different lessons in different ways. One person learns boundaries. They learn how to say no without guilt. They learn that love is not the same as self-erasure. They learn that giving everything does not guarantee being valued. The other person may learn responsibility. They may learn that silence can wound, that avoidance still has consequences, that feelings do not disappear just because you refuse to name them. One learns self-respect. The other learns emotional courage. One learns how to stop chasing. The other learns how to stop running. This is why distance can become a strange kind of training ground. Neither person sees the full picture while it is happening. That too is part of the process. If they knew everything too soon, the growth might stop. The unknown creates space. The silence creates depth. The separation, painful as it is, becomes the place where both people are quietly being reshaped for whatever comes next. Before any true reunion can happen, false ideas usually have to fall away. Life begins removing the beliefs that look comforting, but actually damage love. Beliefs like love should never challenge you. Beliefs like if someone really cares, they will always know what to do. Beliefs like suffering proves depth. Beliefs like another person is supposed to complete you. Those ideas may sound romantic, but they create fear, dependence, and impossible expectations. So life strips them away, not softly, not quickly, through distance, through disappointment, through nights when your thoughts get louder than the room around you, through moments when you are forced to sit alone and finally see yourself clearly. You begin to notice where you abandoned yourself. You begin to see how often you confused attachment with safety, silence with peace, and sacrifice with love. And slowly something changes. You learn that love is not meant to save you from yourself. You learn that another person cannot fill the spaces you have refused to heal. You learn that real connection begins with inner steadiness, not inner emptiness. There comes a point where the energy shifts. You stop needing them to return in order to feel whole. You stop searching for signs in every small thing. You stop waiting for one message to change your life. And this change does not feel bitter. It feels calm, clean, quietly powerful. This is where life often begins moving again, not because you forced anything, but because you released the need to control the ending. That is a big moment, maybe the biggest, because real love is not desperation, it is choice. It is two whole people deciding freely, not two wounded people trying to survive through each other. And once that truth becomes real inside you, the story enters a completely different chapter. If those two people ever cross paths again after real growth, the feeling is often very different. It is not dramatic in the old way. It is not full of panic, games, or emotional chaos. It feels quieter, steadier. Your body relaxes before your mind can explain why. There is less fear, less ego, less pressure to perform or prove anything. What appears instead is honesty. Simple honesty, the kind that does not need to hide behind confusion, the kind that does not need tests, mind games, or mixed signals. The connection feels calmer, because both people have already faced storms inside themselves. It feels deeper, because each of them has met their own shadow. It feels clearer, because the old illusions have already broken. It is not perfect. It does not pretend to be perfect, but it is conscious. There is awareness in the way they speak, in the way silence is respected, in the way boundaries are honored. There is no hunger to control, no need to force closeness, no confusion about where they stand. There is simply a quiet recognition, like meeting a truth again, only this time with maturity behind it. And yet even here, one hard reality still remains. Not every meaningful connection becomes a lifelong relationship. Some do, some do not. That can be painful to hear, but it is still true. A connection can be real without becoming permanent. A bond can be sacred without lasting forever in the same shape. Some people return to build something lasting. Some only return in memory, in wisdom, in the new standards they helped create inside you. Do not miss this point. The value of a connection is not measured only by how long it stayed. Sometimes its purpose was to wake you up, reshape you, and prepare you for a love you could not have recognized before. There are also connections that do more than stir romance. They break old family patterns. They expose wounds passed down through years, sometimes through generations. They show you where love was mixed with fear, where attachment was mistaken for safety, where silence was praised even when it caused pain. These bonds force hidden patterns into the light. They reveal what you have been carrying that was never truly yours. Buried hurt rises up. Old beliefs lose their grip. Pain that might have repeated for years finally gets a chance to heal. Other connections arrive to teach self-love. They mirror the way you let yourself be treated. Through them you see where you shrink, where you settle, where you stay silent just to keep someone near. They show you the cost of abandoning your own needs. And that lesson can be painful, because it makes you face the truth. Love should not cost you your dignity. It should not take your voice. It should not ask you to disappear in order to keep it alive. Some people enter your life to awaken emotional depth. They make you feel again after a long season of numbness. They remind you that you are capable of care, vulnerability, and real connection. Even if they leave you more open than before. Others redirect your whole path. Meeting them changes your choices, your standards, even the future you begin to imagine for yourself. They were never meant to remain in the old way. They were meant to prepare you. That does not make them meaningless. It makes them sacred. Sacred things are not always permanent. Their power is not only in how long they stay, but in what they awaken while they are here. And if something in this is hitting home, keep listening, because the hardest truth is also the one that can set you free. Many people ask why destiny can feel harsh before it feels kind, why it seems to remove before it gives, why it allows heartbreak instead of immediate peace. The answer is simple, even if it is not easy. Comfort can keep you trapped. Familiar pain can still feel safe when it is all you know. Life does not always protect your comfort. Sometimes it protects your potential. It would rather let your heart break than let your soul slowly disappear inside patterns that are shrinking you. It will remove people before it lets you lose yourself trying to keep them. In the moment, that can feel cruel. You replay everything. You question your value. You wonder what you could have done differently. You feel abandoned by something you trusted. But time reveals what pain could not explain. With distance, you start seeing that staying the same would have cost you more than leaving ever did. You see that what felt like loss also carried wisdom. You see that some endings were really interruptions designed to stop a deeper kind of damage. And then one truth becomes impossible to ignore. When two people are truly meant to meet in a meaningful way, they are often forced to grow apart before they can grow together. They are separated so illusions can die. They are stripped of fantasies about love, about each other, and about themselves. They are made to face their wounds, their fear, their habits, and their refusal to take responsibility for their own healing. This season is not punishment. It is preparation. It is a sacred pause, a hidden workshop, a quiet fire that refines what is weak and brings forward what is real. It feels slow. It feels unfair. But it is often where the deepest work is done, and most of that work happens where no one else can see it. In that quiet season, both people are being shaped, slowly, carefully, sometimes painfully. Each is learning lessons that cannot be borrowed and cannot be rushed. You learn boundaries, not as cold walls, but as clear lines that protect your energy and honor your worth. You learn self-respect, not as pride, but as a calm inner knowing that your value is not decided by someone else's confusion. You learn how to love deeply, without losing yourself. You learn that being chosen means very little if you have not chosen yourself first. You learn that wholeness cannot be handed to you by another person. It has to rise from within. That is why this period matters so much. It is not empty time. It is not wasted time. It is building something in you. Sometimes it is building the version of you that could one day sustain a healthier reunion. Sometimes it is building the version of you that will finally walk toward a different future with clear eyes and a strong heart. Either way, something essential is changing. And once that change begins, you cannot go back to who you were before. That older version of you slowly fades. Your heart may still remember, but your standards become different. Your voice becomes steadier. Your need for chaos gets weaker. Your desire for truth gets stronger. Then life starts revealing what comes next. Maybe the path leads back to them. Maybe it leads somewhere completely new. But no one leaves this kind of experience unchanged. That is the point. Not just romance. Not just reunion. Transformation. So if you are in the middle of a painful separation right now, hear this clearly. You do not need to chase. You do not need to beg. You do not need to prove your value by over-giving, over-explaining, or over-waiting. What is real will not ask you to destroy yourself in order to keep hope alive. What is truly meant for you will not require constant fear. It will not demand that you become smaller so someone else can stay comfortable. It will not ask you to live in endless confusion. Real love may ask for growth. It may ask for honesty. It may ask for courage. But it will not ask you to betray yourself. It will not make you question your worth every day. It will not reward silence and call that peace. If someone does not return, that does not automatically mean the connection failed. It may have already done its job. It may have taught what needed to be learned. It may have prepared you to recognize real love in a truer form later. The connection was not wasted just because it changed shape. It may have been a teacher more than a destination. That truth is difficult, but it is powerful. Because once you accept it, you stop measuring meaning only by permanence. You stop acting as if something matters only if it lasts forever, in the form you wanted. Some connections are about possession. Deeper ones are about transformation. They arrive exactly when you are ready, or exactly when life needs to get you ready. They interrupt comfort so they can expose your blind spots. They challenge old beliefs so healthier ones can grow. They may leave pain behind, yes, but they also leave clarity. They leave insight. They leave a stronger relationship with yourself. Nothing is wasted, not the tears, not the longing, not the disappointment, not even the silence. What feels like rejection can become redirection. What feels like an ending can become a doorway. And in time, when you look back with clearer eyes, you may finally see that even the moments that hurt the most were guiding you somewhere more honest, more grounded, and more aligned than you understood at the time. So if there is someone on your mind while hearing this, let the truth settle softly. You do not have to force what belongs in your life. You do not have to chase clarity from someone who cannot give it. You do not have to confuse anxiety with love, or waiting with loyalty, or pain with destiny. What is truly aligned with you will not drain the life out of you. It will meet you with steadiness. It will honor your voice. It will respect your boundaries. And before that kind of love can fully land, life may first lead you through a season of separation, healing, and deep inner change. That is the one thing that keeps appearing. Not instant comfort, not easy beginnings. Growth first, truth first, transformation first. Sometimes two people return after that work and build something stronger, cleaner, and more real than before. Sometimes they do not return, and the lesson still remains sacred. Either way, the connection had meaning. Either way, it changed you. Either way, you were not imagining the impact. The real purpose was never just about holding on to a person. It was about becoming more awake, more whole, and more honest in the way you live and love. And maybe that is the deepest truth of all. The right connection does not only ask, who do you want? It asks, who are you becoming? It pushes you toward that answer, even when the process feels unfair, even when the silence feels heavy, even when the story does not move the way you hoped. So take a breath. Trust the work being done in you. Let go of what you were never meant to force. And remember this, when something is truly part of your path, it will never require you to abandon yourself just to keep it.